Get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 7:08 Wednesday, August 17th, 78 degrees. Get up to 92 today. WOBM AM 1160, 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pup app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160. To join the conversation, we are now joined in studio by Dr. Jeffrey Hagar. He's a vascular surgeon and the medical director of the Center for Wound Healing at Southern Ocean Medical Center. Good morning, Dr. Hagar.
Good morning, Jeremy.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
That's good. Excellent. So tell me what a vascular surgeon does.
A vascular surgeon, our job is to take care of blood vessels. So arteries, veins throughout your entire body. So common things are like carotid artery disease in the neck that can cause strokes, aneurysms in your belly where the blood vessels dilated. They can rupture. We fix those before they rupture, hopefully. Blood supply to your legs. So that's majority of areas. We deal with dialysis. We deal with pacemakers. It's a broad region that we deal with.
So how does that relate to the Center for Wound Healing? Or is that just like where because is that really a large portion of dealing with wounds as well?
It is. At least 80% of wounds are a blood vessel issue.
Oh, okay.
So oftentimes patients come to see us. You have to identify why the wound's not healing, and oftentimes it's either their arteries are not doing their job by delivering oxygen nutrition, or the veins are not taking away the fluid properly, and correcting them will definitely make an impact on healing a wound.
Really? Yeah, so I think of a wound. I think of I'm playing basketball and I get knocked down and I have this tremendous gash in my leg, and that's what I think of. And then I guess it doesn't equate to me that that there's all these other issues that go into that.
Yeah, so chronic wounds are kind of what we're talking
Gotcha.
about. So those are wounds that haven't healed for a couple of months, and you've tried and tried. We love the kind of wound you described because they're pretty easy to heal.
Right, that's the easy one, right? So that's the kind of wounds we're talking about.
Yeah, wounds that basically disease has limited their ability to heal, or the disease has caused the wound.
Gotcha. And how common is that?
It's really common. It's probably 2% of the population. Probably about 6.5 million people a year suffer from wounds. Really? In the Meridian system alone, we probably see about 2,000 new patients every year.
Oh my goodness! I had no idea it was that big an issue. So, what are the common causes of a non-healing wound?
Common causes are blood vessel. So you have to remember, arteries and veins are not the same thing. They're kind of like cousins. Arteries bring the blood into the tissue. Because it comes in, it drops off nutrition and oxygen. As it goes out, it picks up the waste products from your cell metabolism and into your vein, back to your heart again, and circles back around. You disrupt that flow on either side of the equation, the tissue can't get good nutrition. So mostly that, but there's radiation wounds from people that have radiation for previous cancer treatment that will tend to limit the amount of blood vessels in an area, and that area may break down. People get bleeding from their bladders or prostates. That's a very common area that's had radiation, or a skin wound if they've had like squamous cell or skin cancers. They may eventually break down from having had the radiation.
Right.
It's a lot less common than it used to be because they're better with radiation now. Underlying diseases, diabetes is huge because diabetes affects those tiny, tiny blood vessels to your skin, so you just can't get it to your skin.
Gotcha.
Those are the main causes.
So that's why diabetics should be especially concerned about wounds, because they're more apt to get to have this kind of issue.
They're really prone to it. And the other thing is diabetics don't always know they have a wound because they tend to have a decreased sensation in their feet. Think of how the foot's the furthest away from your heart.
Right.
So that's the area that kind of begins to develop blood vessel problems the earliest for diabetics. But they have a lack of sensation. So they could have a wound on their foot and not know it's there for a period of time unless they're doing adequate exams every night, take a mirror, look under their foot to make sure they don't have any red spots or inflammation.
Right.
The longer you have a wound, the harder it is for us to heal. So we want to see patients as early as possible.
Sure.
Make a big difference for them.
How did you get interested when you were in medical school? How do you decide that you want to get into this part of the field? How did you decide you wanted to be a vascular surgeon?
I don't think you know that going into medical school. I think you have to experience a lot of things, and eventually at the end of medical school, you have to decide what your personality, what your skills are in terms of what comes easy to you.
Right.
When I went to medical school, I wanted to be a family doctor and I wanted to deliver babies.
Sure.
That was my goal. But as I kind of finished up, I'm good at putting things together, taking things apart. I'm a mechanical thinker. So surgery was something that I chose to go into. It fit me very well. It just came very easy to my brain, and the work ethic was good. And then for vascular surgery, I just had a mentor. And I'm a real detail guy.
Right.
And that's what vascular surgery is. It's a detailed, meticulous job. You have to do a good job or people don't do well.
Right.
So it just attracts me personality-wise and skill-wise.
So that's interesting. So it's interesting. You end up in medical school because you know that you want to help people, that you want to make a difference, that you love science, or that's what's kind of at your core. But then you kind of start fitting your personality to what the specialty is, and that's kind of where that goes, right?
I think that's the way to do it. I think if you go by what specialty makes the most amount of money, I think you're going to be miserable because it's hard work. It's not a job; it's a career. So you spend endless hours doing these jobs. You got to really enjoy it. That's my advice to young people going to medical school. Find what fits your personality and don't fight it. You'll enjoy your career that way.
Right. All right, let's get back to this.
Yeah.
So vein and artery problems, can those lead to wounds as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's probably the number one cause. At least 80% of the wound care center is full of patients with this. And veins much more than you would think. Arteries kind of obvious. Everybody kind of knows if you have blockage in your arteries, you don't deliver blood supply, you'll break down, the wound doesn't heal. But vein disease also causes the leg to be swollen. And when the leg is swollen, you can't get good nutrition to the skin because all that fluid is there. So people will actually just break down their skin from swollen legs.
Okay. So when we come back with Dr. Jeffrey Hagar, vascular surgeon and medical director of the Center for Wound Healing at Southern Ocean Medical Center. That's a lot to fit on a business card, by the way. When we come back, I want to talk about risks involved in not treating a wound, and then, what the assessment process really looks like for a wound. Is that okay?
That's great.
Cool. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin back after this.
Get more Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin at our website, WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We are here with Dr. Jeffrey Hagar, vascular surgeon and medical director of the Center for Wound Healing at Southern Ocean Medical Center. So, risk of not treating a wound. That seems like a no-brainer, but talk to me. What is it?
That is a no-brainer, but it's really common. It's amazing how many people will come in and they've had a wound for 3, 6, a year, months. It's amazing. So the problem with a wound is, first of all, it's a hole in your defense, right? Your skin is your major defense from the rest of the world's bacteria and viruses and all that kind of stuff. So once you injure that, now you open your inner body, which has very little defense to the rest of it.
Right.
The biggest thing is that it takes a lot of energy from your body. It depending where it is, it may make it very difficult to walk, to get around, and ultimately it can end up invading into your bone. Then you have a bone infection. Bone infections are very difficult to heal. You may end up with starting to lose toes. You can end up losing a foot, a leg. These things are all very progressive. The big thing about a wound care center is that we begin to jump on these things early in a kind of a multidisciplinary team, because people rarely have one problem that has caused their wound. It's usually multifactorial. Even looking at their home situation and their nutritional status, their diabetic status, it takes kind of a whole team to manage that patient, because there's a lot of things that have ended up making this wound not want to heal.
Right. I had this. I just had when we started talking. I had this this flashback to Monty Python's Holy Grail, and it's just a flesh wound.
Yes.
Right. When he has his legs cut off, he's like, no, it's just a flesh wound. It's all going to be okay. Anyway. All right. When should someone seek out a wound care specialist? So how long? Like, what's the magical number for when they should say, okay, Houston, we have a problem, and let's go do something about it?
So it's a little pet peeve of mine. Earlier is better.
Right.
There's just no way to replace earlier is better. So if you think you have a problem of a wound not healing, it's easier for us to see you earlier than later. Even if you're seeing your family doctor or a nurse practitioner or a physician's assistant and the wound is not progressing within the first couple of weeks, go to a wound care center. It'll make a big difference. So wound care is very specialized. There's a lot of technology out there and a lot of understanding of chronic wounds that you need to have. And not every individual or every physician has that skill set. So just come and get an opinion about it.
Right. So we talk a lot. We've heard a lot from different healthcare groups about a multidisciplinary approach, right? So tell me about the multidisciplinary team that's involved in care at the wound center.
Well, it involves surgeons. So we try to fix the blood vessels, right? Fix those arteries, fix those veins. It involves podiatrists who are very good with the structure of the foot. Most wounds occur in the foot, remember, as well as the specialized procedures they can do to change weight bearing on a foot. It requires infectious disease specialists because almost every open wound has bacteria in it. Kind of think of your mouth. It has bacteria all the time. You brush your teeth, it lowers the bacteria count, but you can't remove the bacteria. Any wound that's been open for a period of time definitely has some bacteria in it.
Right.
Doesn't always have to be treated, but you have to know that it's there and you have to identify whether to treat it. Plastic surgeons often are very helpful to help reconstruct the tissue once it's healthy, as well as nutritional status. Most patients are diabetic, so making sure their diabetes is controlled because that affects the way the nutrition is delivered to their tissue.
Right.
If their sugar is really high, it really affects the way nutrition is delivered. So that's basically the way we do a multidisciplinary team. And it's very helpful to have everybody because everybody makes an impact on getting that patient healthier.
Cool. We only have a minute left, but first step in having a wound assessed and treated?
Make a phone call.
All right, that's what I thought, but it's an easy one. All right, so when we get back, we're going to talk treatment options. I want to talk about hyperbaric oxygen therapy because that just sounds super cool, and I don't know. Anything that involves the word hyperbaric sounds cool to me. So when we come back, Dr. Jeffrey Hagar, vascular surgeon and medical director of the Center for Wound Healing at Southern Ocean Medical Center. And of course, we give him his magic wand so that he can change the world, which I'm sure will be exciting. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin, listen to Kevin Williams in the Hometown View, then listen to the news, and then come on back with us. Back after this.
Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center overlooking the Toms River. It's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 7:34 Wednesday, August 17th. 78 degrees, getting up to 92 today. WOBM AM 1160, 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pop app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are joined in studio by Dr. Jeffrey Hagar, vascular surgeon and medical director of the Center for Wound Healing at Southern Ocean Medical Center. So, treatment options for wound care. What do we have? What do we do?
Well, that's really a broad question.
I
think the main thing of a wound is to identify why it's there. Why is it not healing? So is it infection? Is it blood supply? Is it pressure? Is it what they do with it on a daily basis, how they walk on it, how they stand on it? So ultimately, you want to identify the reason the wound is there, and then we begin to address the reason.
Right.
If you address the reason effectively, the wound will heal. So oftentimes, it's compressing the wound to get rid of the swelling. It may be getting better blood supply, so you may need a procedure or surgery to fix that, and that may just be as simple as a balloon and a stent or a bypass. Oftentimes, it is modified dressings and weight bearing that the podiatrists have some significantly advanced technology to change the way your foot takes pressure.
Right.
It's a $50 billion industry, wound care. There's a lot of technology, special dressings and salves and ointments, but you have to use them all appropriately. Find out what you need. So one thing will not heal every wound.
Sure.
We don't have the magic wand.
Well, you're going to get that in a minute, but how long? So, and I imagine when we talk about how long a wound takes to heal, it's the same thing. I mean, it varies extensively based on what the issue is.
the major issue is patient compliance, patients kind of following the direction, and then also physicians taking the time to understand why this wound is there.
Right.
The first thing you do when you see a wound care patient is you actually spend a lot of time talking to understand how this occurred, what are you doing on a daily basis, what have you done, and then you begin to develop your plan on what's the best way to get this better. An average chronic wound to heal is about 15 weeks.
Right.
This is not overnight stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I know how you do that. I used to watch House. And I know, so you listen to the patient, then you break into their house and learn about what actually caused the wound, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay, so I have to ask about hyperbaric oxygen therapy, just because I like saying hyperbaric oxygen therapy. I can't even say it, so tell me what it is.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy, basically a patient goes into a chamber, and in that chamber, we add atmospheric pressure to the patient in a 100% oxygen environment. So when we do that, the tissues get super infused with oxygen. So envision most tissues, so the patients we put in that chamber have trouble delivering nutrition or oxygen or blood supply to those tissues. So diabetic foot ulcer is a terrific patient to place in there.
Right.
Because the diabetic foot ulcer, if you kind of think of blood supply like a tree, the leaf is your skin. That little stem of the leaf to the branch is what's destroyed in diabetes. So you can get the blood supply all the way out to the tree, but you just can't get it to the leaf.
Right.
Well, if we had oxygen on the other side of that to the leaf or to the skin surface or to the muscle tissue in that area, it makes a huge difference in being able to heal that wound, because that's what it's lacking. It's lacking nutrition and oxygen. So also it's very good for radiation wounds. It tends to build up the blood supply to an area that's been destroyed by the radiation. And then there's advanced things like smoke poisoning and different infections. But those are the main areas that hyperbaric thing. It's a very strict patient that gets in a hyperbaric chamber. We have a lot of patients that come and say, "Oh, we read about hyperbaric. Can we get into that? Will that heal our wound?" And then we screen them and decide, yeah, you're a good candidate for this, or you're not. You don't qualify for it. It's pretty strictly controlled by Medicare.
Right.
And the insurance companies, because it is an expensive therapy. So we want to use it as soon as it's appropriate and in an appropriate patient. But it's usually several months of diving. We call it diving because it comes from dive when they used to get the bends. That's what they put them in these chambers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, so that's what it's called.
Bends. I haven't heard that in a while.
But it's a daily event. It's 5 days a week, and it can be up for 6-8 weeks, depending.
Wow. All right. Well, you alluded to it before. Now we're giving you the magic wand, the pixie dust, the fairy dust, the ability just to wiggle your nose and make an impact on the world. So, Dr. Jeffrey Hagar, vascular surgeon and medical director of the Center for Wound Healing at Southern Ocean Medical Center. What are you doing with the magic wand?
This is a lot of pressure, Jeremy.
I know.
A lot of pressure.
Well, listen, that's how we roll.
I think the main issue is that from a medical standpoint, having patients understand that the doctors are not their enemies, that we're here to take care of them. Our whole goal in life is to make sure they get healthier and happier and live a quality life. Patients are very resistant to following directions and being compliant with what we've asked them to do, but we try to get through that our motivation is to actually help them.
Right.
Not too many people in the world are out there to help you.
Right.
But we're there to help you and get you better. So my wish would be that patients begin to understand that we're on their side and on their team. We just need them to help us a little bit to get there.
Right. And when you ask them to, comply, it's not because you have some kind of sadistic thing going on. It's because you're trying to get them better.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Wound Care Center is located at Southern Ocean Medical Center in Manahawkin. Of course, there are also wound care centers in the Meridian Network at Ocean Medical Center in Brick, at Jersey Shore University Medical Center in Neptune, and, of course, at Bayshore Community Hospital in Homedale. For more information about the Southern Ocean Medical Center, you can call 609-978-3371, and that's how you can get more info or to make an appointment for a consultation. That's what I got. Of course, there's the website, Facebook, yada, yada, yada. Dr. Jeffrey Hagar, vascular surgeon, medical director of the Center for Wound Healing at Southern Ocean Medical Center. Thank you so much for some time this morning.
Jeremy, thanks for having me.
All right, and you enjoy the rest of your summer, okay?
You too.
Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin back after this.